Okay, we are back in Santa's castle with a working elevator thanks to last year's efforts. The Speak Unpreparedness room has a challenge, which is Objective 5. This took me about 15 minutes to complete, and the aim is to reverse engineer a compiled rubber ducky payload that's present on a USB. The terminal asks us what troll username was involved in the attack, and the only way to effectively do that is to reverse this inject.bin file, which is sitting at Mount USB. At first we took a think about it and tried to use XXD, however it's not installed, so we're not able to get a hex dump. We cat the file and as expected, it's pretty gibberish. So we decide, well, maybe there is XXD and we go looking for it. And we don't really get far, so then it's back to Google. We Google and takes us to a Hack5 site, which tells us inject.bin is a compiled version of a rubber ducky script. Naturally, not knowing how to reverse this particular script, we head back to Google. We type in rubber ducky inject.bin reverse, quite literally that's what I Googled because I am not using good Googling skills, I should say. Eventually we find an article that mentions a duck toolkit. Now this is a Python script that's currently present on GitHub. We tried to do a find in Grep to essentially see whether this Python script was on our machine. However, you can kind of guess that it wasn't on our system. Like, don't get me started how many different times I tried to do a find in Grep too, because I couldn't actually remember the syntax for this. So, you know, if you ever got imposter syndrome, remember, I have no idea about the syntax for a find command on Linux. So, yeah, and honestly, I'm not that proud about that, but it, yeah, it is a thing. So eventually we give up looking for this file because we just sort of assume that it's not present on disk, and we're getting a lot of access denied errors, which we're trying to pipe out to dev null. Honestly, just give up. Give up. Just stop trying. Stop. You're still going. Just stop. Give up. All right. So then we begin to check out the file system, and we find this Mallard.py just sort of in the ELF home directory. This has a reference to Ducky script and decoding in it, which makes it something that's very interesting. It doesn't exactly match the duck toolkit that we have found on GitHub, but it does seem to have a lot of references to indicate that it would decode stuff. So this is where we really kick it into Overdrive. We run the file to learn the syntax. Then we have to fix the syntax to make sure that we get it right. This decompiles the script into something a little more viewable. Excellent, we're almost there. We see an echo reference with an SSH key. However, sort of at this point in time, I had a plethora of copy and paste issues, so let's just deal with that for a bit. Honestly, I just could not copy and paste stuff, and it wound up in the terminal again. And then that's when I realized you could essentially right-click on the terminal to get a copy of it without having to do a Control-C or anything like that to, yeah, copy and paste. Good job. Good job. Eventually we get the Base64 command that they essentially used, and we reuse that to decode this particular Base64 encoded command that they are using in the rubber ducky script. This gives us a particular username, which is ickymcgoop@trollfun.jackfrosttower.com. That's being piped to an authorized SSH user key. So at this point, we think we've got the answer, and we submit it, ickymcgoop. And would you believe it? We have solved the challenge. That's a mic drop. It's time to move on to something else.